Are you ready to unlock the secrets of personal branding and innovation, particularly in LinkedIn? If you are, then today I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome Al Kushner to the show. Al's a celebrated thought leader, award-winning author, and a trailblazer in AI-driven strategies, reshaping the way that we connect and communicate. And we're going to go deep into a lot of the implications of the emerging field of AI and how that is going to impact on your communication going forward. Welcome to the show, Al.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I've touched on some things there in the little, very brief introduction there that are really quite profound in the way that things are emerging. It's going to be a very different space, isn't it, going forward?
Yeah, I think with AI technology, I think I would say it's a game changer for a lot of marketers out there looking to, raise their level of awareness. So, yeah.
So, I mean, thought leader, influencer, book writer, there's a lot of things that go into making up Al, isn't there? When did you kind of know that you were going to be so influential in this space?
Well, I've been on LinkedIn for over 20 years, and I realized that there's a lot of people really not using it to the best of their abilities. And I said, what can I do to create awareness of my services? And I said, well, write a book. And that's certainly what I did. And it's not my first book I wrote, but I looked in the marketplace to see what was out there, and there was really nothing, no LinkedIn books that really touched in on AI technology. I said, why not create a book that could really be relevant to a lot of people and make a difference in educating? And I said, this pretty much was the way to go. So that's what I did.
And it's again, it's almost that perfect storm, isn't it? That timing of a very established but still evolving social network with this emerging technology, which is, for those who can kind of get their head around it, is going to empower so many different new opportunities. I mean, just going back before we kind of really go deep into the AI impact here, is I guess, is there still best practice in LinkedIn? Because I think, when you look at people's profiles, there is clearly still, I guess, a mass mindset that, oh, it's my job profile, it's my career. I'm not really posting a huge amount on it. It's almost like my CV online. There's still quite a few people playing that very old school approach with it, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, surprisingly and shockingly. When usually I'm getting invited to connect, first thing I do is look at the profile. And if the profile doesn't look professional, I usually ignore the individual. And that's something that people need to be aware of, because you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. And that is true. So you really need to really step up your game if you want to make quality connections on LinkedIn.
Why do you think this is? Because I mean, it's a social network, like you say. Some of us have been in there for some 20 years now. It is very mature, even though in essence it's really evolving in itself. But if you think about the maturity there, this is something that's been with some people literally since they've been born, and yet not realizing that, one, it's, well, for many people it's free. Two, it probably gives you the best digital footprint that you could possibly ever have if you can optimize and very much leverage all the features within it. Is it just that people aren't making the time for it, or is it that they're not realizing just how powerful it can be?
I think they're not realizing how powerful it can be. Since the inception of LinkedIn, it has grown, exponentially. I think over 900 million users worldwide. I mean, that's incredible. So, and it has changed in so many ways, and there's so many features on LinkedIn that it's really the ultimate networking tool to use. So, if you are, doing any outreach, you need to really focus in on optimizing your profile so you're able to make quality connections and be taken seriously. And that's really what LinkedIn is about. And most people don't really look at that way, so they really don't understand why they're not connecting and not getting followers.
I mean, is it something that you would see as almost a set of building blocks? You need to create the foundation first. Foundation being, a very, very solid profile. The bio section being absolutely rock solid. Maybe some examples of, the value that you've brought in previous roles. If you're looking back at your chronological order of your career, all those kind of real foundational things. Is that where to start really to kind of build the core of this?
Absolutely. You have to get your house in order, which is your profile. And you can really focus in on the professional headshot, also the background that you're using over there, in addition to certain keywords, if you want to be found on LinkedIn. So if you're in marketing and you offer, I don't know, SEO services, that should be as part of your title, work on those keywords, because that's what people look for when they're looking for services. And then focusing on other key areas from about page, other things that are very much critical for success on LinkedIn.
And then once, I guess, having established that, the next couple of opportunities that you have, and I'm sure that many people literally just leave it there and think, okay, well, Al's just told me that's what I've got to do, so great, I've got that, that's fine. So I've got a powerful LinkedIn page. But actually, it's only then that you start to fuel it, isn't it? With ongoing daily potentially content, some added value stuff, even before you start to actually begin networking. I mean, what's your take on the amount of content that you need to be publishing to almost be recognized and seen as, well, let's call it thought leader, but at least to kind of get your sort of name in the game?
Well, if you want to become a thought leader on LinkedIn, you have to provide quality content, as because content is king on LinkedIn. And I would focus on creating a newsletter on LinkedIn. You have up to 5 different newsletters you can publish on the platform. And what's unique about the newsletter is that those who follow the newsletter, not only will they receive your content once it's published, they'll be notified, but they'll also receive it offline directly into their inboxes and the emails, which kind of bypasses a lot of spam filters, because of the LinkedIn has such a high authority that it's accepted in most part in corporate emails as well as Gmail as a respect, not considered spam. So that really something people forget about, and that's what's unique about the newsletter platform on LinkedIn. So definitely, it's a big help by using LinkedIn to get the word out.
That kind of is probably a wake-up call for a lot of people. The fact that, yes, you can very much build a following, I guess, not just in the traditional sense of, these people are following me, these people are, connected to me, and it is a different kind of answer in those two categories, but actually to be creating a database of engagement, because obviously with something like a newsletter, that is what you're creating. You're going just beyond, oh, they saw my posts, into something that probably is a lot more meaningful, even to the point where people can look forward to the next newsletter that you publish. Is that almost the name of the game, is to kind of be positioning yourself quite differently to everybody else who might be offering similar services?
Yeah, definitely. To be a thought leader, it's about creating content, and also not just creating content itself, but also videos are really much are what the algorithm loves on LinkedIn. So if you can create a video anywhere from 30 to 90 seconds, they'll definitely create awareness, and you'll be considered um, liked by LinkedIn, because they enjoy the fact that you're uploading organically. Again, not through a link through another service. They want you to upload directly, and with that, they will actually help to get your message across to many people. And it usually sets you apart from what's out there, which most of the time people are just using text as a form of communication. But videos are definitely much recognized as a potential viral possibility when you post on LinkedIn.
So there's a key point there. I just want to go a little deeper into it, because I think some people might miss that one. When you said about not publishing, publishing natively within LinkedIn is the important bit. Not using some form of content scheduler, which a lot of people, particularly marketers, do, because they're scheduling their content, way in advance potentially. So you actually have to be in their LinkedIn and active to actually meet the algorithm's needs.
Well, LinkedIn has a built-in scheduler, so you don't have to worry about it. They just want you, when you do post, to schedule within their platform and not share any outside links. So that's the thing to know. And once you do that, you'll find that LinkedIn will be made more favorable to the post, and you'll find people would be able to be reached through, by uploading directly.
So there's probably a little competitive edge there for anybody listening to this. And if you are using, other services to be posting into LinkedIn and obviously the other social networks, there is this, I guess, a trade-off here is that the more effort you'll put in individually to these platforms, LinkedIn being the specific one that we're talking to, the more value you're going to get back. Is it almost kind of like a reward scheme here in terms of the effort and resource and time that you're willing to do. So if you do the hard yards, you're going to get a better return, is what it sounds like. So once somebody's actually done that then, and they've created a little bit of momentum, hopefully some more kind of regular or frequent inputs into LinkedIn, and hopefully start to see some traction there, it then kind of asks, I guess, begs the question of, okay, and how much then do you need to be contributing to other people's posts? What is this year? What is the very latest kind of position there? Because it seems to be gaining quite a lot of traction. The fact that the more you engage, the better the algorithms treat you, and you get rewarded for being a high level engager. Is that still true?
Yes, it is. Certainly, when you're commenting on an influencer's post, you'll certainly get a lot of interest from their followers. The key thing, of course, is the post, usually within 10 or 15 minutes as soon as they're posting, because you want to be on the top when you are when your post is going to be featured. Otherwise, post an hour later, you could be lost among hundreds of other posts over there. So that's the key thing. And you can set up your particular LinkedIn where you can be notified in advance as soon as the influencer posts, that you can post at that time. And the key thing when you're posting is to be more than just thanks for sharing, but add some value to the influencer's post. And a lot of times you can use AI technology to do that, where you can actually use, for example, ChatGPT, and copy and paste the content of the influencer and find out ways that you can help to enhance that post. Maybe address an issue that they didn't talk about, or maybe ask a question that maybe would be very much helpful. And when you do that, post directly to the influencer's post, and a lot of times they'll reply to that, which is great. And also the followers also may decide to follow you and decide to check out your profile as a result. So if you use this strategically, you'll find to be getting a lot of followers, a lot of interest, and even the influencer may decide to accept your invitation to connect, because that's also important to know.
This is interesting, isn't it? Because I'm guessing a lot of people listening to this will think, okay, well, I'm super busy in my work. I've got so many things to do, all my targets, and there's other content I need to be producing. I simply, Al, it would be lovely, but I simply don't have the time or the bandwidth to be doing this. But actually, what you're saying is that you're not in this alone. As an individual, if you have your favorite AI, GPT, often, for most people, Copilot, if you're tied into a Microsoft environment, you have these tools available now to almost be your buddy. So looking out for the opportunity to tie in where potentially you don't have an idea of the next question, or where you don't necessarily know very much about the topic on display, but actually this enables you to both learn a little bit about that topic, but also maybe come up with some quite profound questions that nobody else might have thought of. There's a real advantage in this, isn't there, if people are willing to devote the time?
Yeah, it's a game changer, I would say. And the key thing, of course, is to do it within your voice. Don't necessarily take the raw thing. ChatGPT is a great tool to use, but it's not the end all. So you want to be able to take the information and kind of revise in a way that would sound more like you. But most importantly, it's about the ability to engage with someone where it saves you a lot of time, as well as providing information that could be of value to the influencer and also help raise the awareness of the influencer's post, because it's all about engagement. And if you help that influencer get their post to maybe even go viral because of what you've asked them, then that's great for you, because all of a sudden you get recognized as a thought leader and people will decide to look at your profile. And that's really what makes a difference when using technology to enhance your outreach.
There's something really encouraging with this, isn't there? Because I know from all the people I engage with, well, not all, some will be able to buck the trend, but for the vast majority, the idea of being a thought leader or being identified as a specialist in a particular topic feels kind of almost unreachable. It feels like, oh, yes, but no, you've got to be doing 20, 30 years in business before you could even be thought of as a thought leader. Whereas actually what you're saying is that if you can really kind of decide what your core topic is, maybe it's something that's really of interest to you or something that could be very valuable to your target customers, and then double down on that topic using AI, getting engagement within, obviously LinkedIn is a great example, and then potentially using those themes or those topics that both LinkedIn and AI is coming up with as being, the pertinent topics, maybe then using something like ChatGPT to craft some first party content, because you could, I guess, take that question that's being answered by the influencer and actually create an article that you can then republish yourself. Is it this kind of almost this snowball effect? Once you see a theme or a topic that is of interest, then just by default, if you're part of that conversation, you are part of thought leadership on that topic. Or am I simplifying this too far?
No, it's great because it becomes a great resource. If that particular post does become viral, it could be of value to a lot of people when you decide to post for yourself, create it into an article, maybe create it into a video. I mean, think about the potential. It's just incredible how much, people say, I can't think of what to say. Well, guess what? There are things already been said. Now you can put another spin on it. And guess what? Your particular post may also go viral as a result of that action. So why not?
And it's kind of almost playing the short-term game to get those proper high-value connections. But then by doing that, you're playing the long-term game, which is actually building your personal brand, as well as obviously if you represent another organization, you're actually building that organization's profile around that topic. It's a win-win, isn't it? You're going to be super valuable both to your own business, but also to yourself in terms of career development.
Absolutely. It's definitely a game changer. And the information I have in my book gives you a lot of the resources to take advantage of beyond ChatGPT and to come across as being authentic, because that's really the most important thing, using in a voice that represents who you are and enable people to recognize you as a thought leader. This is what you need to do in order to create that ability, whether it's content or video. These things are all important as part of your outreach. And also, don't ignore groups on LinkedIn. Groups are a great way to also connect and also, extend your brand by, featuring a video, perhaps of a viral post that may be of value to the members of that group.
Again, there's a confidence thing there, though, isn't there? Because I know I've recommended this to clients over the years and said, oh, look, you've got to do the research, find some groups, get in there, start kind of mixing it with the groups. And I would say probably 80, 90% of people say, oh, I'm a little bit kind of nervous about that, if I'm being totally honest, because they've probably got their own little ecosystem. There's probably characters in there who are either the moderators or the go-to kind of, well, micro thought leaders within those particular groups. Is there a certain etiquette to kind of doing that effectively?
Yes, I mean, you want to come across as an educator, so that's the most important thing. So whether you're posting text or videos, use it as an opportunity to educate the individuals who are part of the group. And that way you'll be coming across as someone that's not a salesperson and also be accepted for the group to post, because a lot of times they have rules and regulations and they may not want that particular post. It may not get posted because you're coming across as salesy. So education is really the key thing. You want to be able to create content that's going to give value to the individuals. And of course, when you do post, you'll have your information there. So if people want to reach out to you, they can click on your profile and understand a little bit more what you offer. And that's really the way to approach groups.
So is there a balance here though? Because when you sort of listen to a lot of marketing thought leaders in terms of best practice for business growth, business development, lead generation, that kind of thing, there's a general consensus about give, ask. In other words, give value, give value, keep doing it. And then at some point there becomes this natural point where you think, actually, I'm okay to actually ask now. I want to ask for some business because I'm consistently giving, and now it's my turn to get some value back. Is there, from your side of things, in your experience, Al, are there sort of a certain number of things or certain number of times, or is it a timeline here where beyond that it's okay to ask for business, or is this all about the give?
Well, I would say at least most part of it's about giving, particularly with groups itself. I would say at least it's probably 100% giving if you're on the groups. However, if you have your own newsletter, then of course people will recognize that and understand a little bit more about your services. There's nothing wrong with having an article, and then at the end of the article, say if they want to reach out to you, connect with you, that would be an opportunity to do that. Also, you can offer ebooks to those who are connecting with. Could also offer a lot of value as well, which will have your contact information. So that's also a value. So there are ways of doing it, and proper etiquette, of course, depending on where you're posting, will make a difference in you getting maximum outreach.
Yeah, there's something nice about all of this in terms of the kind of really thoughtful and reflective way of, doing this. This isn't all about just cold calculating kind of sales generation. Ultimately, this is very much more about profile and really thinking through in the longer term how you are going to be adding value to your audiences or to the communities that you're looking to serve. And I'm really heartened to hear that this is a good mindset to have, because ultimately these people tend to be rewarded anyway, because you're going to be asked to speak at events, be they digital or offline. You're going to be seen as the go-to when somebody's got a real sort of technical issue on the topic. People are going to come in your direction anyway, aren't they? And then once they realize, oh, this person's easy to do business with, I'm going to actually give them my business. It kind of just by default happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's what they call the law of reciprocity, you might say. And the fact is that the more you give, most likely you will receive, and that is true. And that is the best way to, offer your services, is to offer value whoever you're connecting with, and to provide information that is touching on pain points that they don't know how to address. And if you can help them, they'll be very grateful, and preferably think of you first before they think of the competition.
Is there, I mean, a lot of what we're talking about here is very, very human. It's very, sort of individuals, engaging with individuals, building community, becoming influential. I don't want to say becoming an influencer, because that has a whole bunch of baggage associated with that term. But in terms of being influential is a very human thing, isn't it? And yet, on the one hand, we're talking about human connection, but the other hand, we're talking about scaling this and empowering it through AI. Is there a point in your experience, and maybe you can draw on some of the analogies from within the book, is there a point at which AI really needs to kind of pause or stop or be reined back in? Can we do too much AI in this field?
Well, it's very easy to be lazy when it comes to AI. A lot of times you can just use the information generated from the AI and just post directly, and that's really not a way to do it, because you don't come across as being authentic. And that's been a challenge for a lot of people, particularly I understand with college students, which are using AI technology to enhance their essays and what have you. And they're getting, called out because they're doing that. But a lot of times, the fact is they may not be doing it. And it's also interesting that professors are actually using AI technology to, understand the essays that are being given, and see whether or not they've used AI technology. So it's a challenging time, I would say the least, to say, where is authenticity involved, and how are people can come across as being authentic and not considered like AI. So that's where I see the challenge that people are facing. So you want to give as much input as you can to what you're going to post, and come across being sincere is really the way to do it.
And I guess those of us who have kind of gone deep into the technology in these various platforms, and we understand and we know that with some really effective prompting, you can make an AI act as an agent. It can very much look and sound, tone of voice can be very, very human-like. It can be very much like us. There can be an AI agent Al, an AI agent Neil, and they can come across very much as the first person who's actually briefed them. So I guess there there is a danger that we do, because we're busy, because we've got other stuff and other priorities as well, is we can almost train our way out of having to put the hard yards in here and actually get an agent to do it. And, with a lot of the automation software that's available now, digital twin Neil and digital twin Al can be actually logged into our LinkedIn accounts, even posting on our behalf with content that sounds like us. It's a really kind of fine line, isn't it, between scaling up and actually being really effective, and maybe using AI so that we just have to check in and just make sure it's kind of on brand from now and again, and then carry on with the rest of our life. Or is it a case of no, it should only ever really be used to create the first draft of things, and then we as humans should be publishing? Because I think a lot of people are going to be thinking, this is a good time for me now to be able to scale without me having to do much extra work. Big temptation there.
There's temptation, and certainly prompt engineering, as you know, is a growing field. And that's something that I find that a lot of people like, to have something that comes across as their voice and their personality. And you can train the AI technology to do that. If you find that the results are meeting your expectations, why not go for it? I mean, it's certainly available. But again, always monitor, as with anything, to see that, making sure that you're coming across as being authentic. And if that works for you, continue doing it, because it's always about saving you time and taking your efforts to the next level, which normally a lot of people don't do. So if it gives you an advantage, why not?
Where do you think this is going to be going then, Al? Because we've seen this growth of AI coming into LinkedIn and other places, really rapidly. I mean, it has to be one of the biggest explosions of technology that, as humanity, we've ever had. A lot of the other stuff that we've seen, the rise of the internet, rise of social media, has taken kind of many years to happen and then reach maturity. This AI stuff seems to have hit us all like a freight train, and it keeps rolling. I mean, where do you see this kind of going, particularly with something like LinkedIn, over the next maybe 12 months, and then maybe even further into the next, say, 3 years? Where do you see us being?
Well, I see that those who are able to embrace the technology will take advantage of all what's provided. Those who don't will be left behind. So it's just something that it's a train. You either get on the train, okay, or you get left behind in the station, and that's pretty much it. And I've always made the uh, attempt to acquire information and take advantage of the resources available. And a lot of people don't do it because it's just set in their ways. So that's really the challenge. The same thing when they introduced the automobile. Before that was the horse and buggy, and a lot of people said, well, they like their horse. And guess what? What's nowadays? Automobiles, cars, electric cars nowadays. Because the fact is that that's how technology works, and you either have to really embrace the technology or get left behind. And that's something that I was very proactive in doing from the beginning, is to take advantage of whatever's available, and do my due diligence.
And I'm guessing as well, just kind of going back to your point about the notifications, because if this is all moving very, very fast, one thing you need to do, obviously, as a marketer, business owner, entrepreneur, somebody with a side hustle looking to go full time on their work, is really keep your finger on the pulse. I mean, so that the word notifications that you used a little while ago is going to be really, really key here, isn't it? Is it almost to the point, particularly with something like LinkedIn, that if you're doing the rest of your work on a day, typical weekday, that you've got one screen or maybe one part of your screen constantly open, a little bit like a mission control, if you like, at NASA, where you've got the screen and the various kind of things open, so that the notifications can come through in real time? Because it does kind of have a sense of, if you miss the moment in time, the timeline is gone, or that particular conversation moved on and you weren't there in the moment. Is this a real-time activity that is literally 24/7?
Well, no, I would say that if you're focusing on influencers, you can know exactly when they're posting and be alerted exactly. So let's say an influencer is posting at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you could be alerted that post is gone, and then note in your schedule when to reply to that post. So you don't have to be online all the time. Also, it's important to note that if you do any type of posting, you don't want to post and ghost. You really just want to post something and then reply to everyone who's responding to your post, at least, and be able to recognize people that they're contributing to your post, at least in some way, and give them recognition, which is important to do. So these are the strategies that I found to be very effective. You don't have to be on LinkedIn all day. Just know exactly certain times of the day that you need to be there, and just focus on that time, and the rest of the time go about your business.
So there's a practicality here. We're not just saying, this is now taking over every kind of business development function that you have in your business, or, if you're developing a personal brand, you have to be doing this 24/7. So that there's a sensibility in this that says, okay, we can blend this in with a day job by a little bit of forethought, a little bit of planning. And I love that idea of, just watching the key players, because they'll follow a pattern because they've got working life too. So yeah, that's a really, really important thing, I think, to be watching for. And I'm guessing as well, with AI, you can actually get AI to do some of the background research, because it can look for the posts and maybe even flag up when certain individuals are most likely to be posting. I mean, would you be suggesting using AI not just for content creation and engagement ideas, but for doing some background research like that?
Well, there's features on LinkedIn that you can use that can alert you when a particular influencer is posting. So the fact is that when they do post, you have a certain amount of time to take that information and put into, let's say, an AI like ChatGPT, and to provide something that could be of value to increase that post, make it more viral, and also ask a question to the influencer, that something that may not think about. So the thing is that you can actually use the platform itself to alert you when the individual is posting, and then you can respond accordingly. And that's definitely the way to do it within a certain time frame. So as soon as they're posting, your post will get to the top of that individual's post.
Mm. Okay, well, that's again another really, really little golden moment. People, you need to listen and maybe just press rewind on that one and go back and just get your head around that, because these are important little nuggets. I want to talk about the book, because obviously this is a bit of a groundbreaker, I think, for a lot of people. This LinkedIn AI kind of synergy, if you like, and the book's called The AI LinkedIn Advantage. Tell us a little bit about the value that people can see if they get themselves a copy.
Well, what I find is that you want information that's going to help you streamline your presence on LinkedIn. So it helps you to develop a profile that's robust, and help you to use the AI technology to create your, let's say, bio or your experiences, to elaborate more on that, and also to help ways to create content, like for newsletters, how to strategize newsletters to reach out to your followers, how to increase your followers exponentially. This is all part of the book that talks about the details. And what I think most people will find is that once they read it, they'll walk away with, not only gaining more knowledge on how to use LinkedIn for outreach, but also how to raise your level of awareness and become a thought leader if you want to dominate the competition. That's the way to do it.
So this is so valuable, and I think because I can't imagine there's anybody listening to or watching this podcast who doesn't have a LinkedIn profile, LinkedIn account. So this is the chance, I guess, to supercharge it. I mean, that's just what I'm being left with, is that, this is about really, really putting the fuel inside you at your profile and actually making it work. And then, as well, as you say, giving the strategies for this ongoing evolution of your profile, so that actually, it starts to really become a key business development channel, which I guess ultimately is the goal here, isn't it? This isn't just doing it for its own sake. There's a commercial value to all of this.
Yes, in fact, one of the most important things that a lot of people seem to neglect is recommendations on LinkedIn. Now, if you take a look at your profile, for example, a lot of times people don't either have any recommendations, or they have a recommendations over 10 years old, which is really absurd. And if they want to become an influencer or be considered a thought leader, you got to be current. If people are happy with your service, there's no reason why they can't give you a couple of kind words. It's not too much to ask. And a lot of times you can just encourage them, because that's something that's going to make a difference. And if you're going to do that, and the more that you have it as part of your profile, 10, 20, 30, 100 recommendations, well, guess what? People will think of you first before they think of the competition, which may not have any recommendations, or something that was from a child that was a long time ago. So that's really, I always stress, is to focus on getting recommendations, and to even sometimes use those recommendations on your own website, because it also shows that these are real people, and if they want to connect with them, they can talk to them on LinkedIn. Oh, well, you met Neil. Did he help you? And he says, well, yes. And that's something that's important, because third-party endorsements are crucial for any type of engagement on LinkedIn to be, successful.
And I guess the clue is in the name of this social network, LinkedIn. It really is. It does what it says on the tin. This is not, recreating something that isn't actually real. It is very, very tangible. So, yeah, really, really powerful stuff, Al. And how do people get hold of a copy of this book? Is there a website they can go to?
Yeah, it's available. The hardcover is currently available on, I believe, Amazon. There's the paperback and audiobook versions will be released on July 4th, so they can find it on Spotify, Audible, other platforms. So it'll be available. They can also go to my website, linkedvantage.com. I also provide a free ebook on how to optimize your profile, so they can access the website, and the book is free, and be able to get information on optimizing your profile, tips and strategies to use that I found to be invaluable.
Wonderful. So if you don't want to go and make this all up yourselves, people, go and check out Al's credentials, LinkedIn profile, which I'm guessing you're inviting people to connect as well on LinkedIn. It would be silly if you
Absolutely.
didn't, I guess, wouldn't it?
Yes, connect with me, but make sure your profile looks good, because I'm not going to accept everyone. So,
And there's the tester. There's the tester. Get the book, download the ebook, do the stuff that you're being told to do, and then see if Al will connect with you. Maybe that is the barometer as to actually did they really, really do what you told them to do. And yeah, if Al will then connect with you, you're
like I said,
in
as
the
long as you
game.
have
You
more
have a
connections,
chance.
I'm not going to be a stickler on that. But the thing that I don't want you to do is pitch slap me. Okay. And I think that a lot of people, when they first connect, is what they do. And that's the worst thing you can do to anyone, because I will definitely um, disconnect, and that's something that you want to recognize. So whoever you're connecting with, do not do pitch slapping. It's just not the way to go.
Wonderful. Al, this has been a great conversation. Loads and loads of really, really useful tips. And again, hopefully we're going to be awakening many, many people's LinkedIn profiles. So Al Kushner, thank you very much.
Thank you, Neil. I appreciate the opportunity.